Hello, once again, and welcome back to Movie Deputy Reviews, where I am here to bring you the controlled chaos of interrogations of movies, both old, new, and everything in between. Today, we are going to be talking about a weather related movie, one that's been highly requested on Movie Deputy for quite some time, and it honestly took the sequel being made for me to go back and review this one. I have seen this movie so many times. I could almost quote parts of it during the movie itself. It's entertaining, it's fun, and I live in Tornado Alley. So, can you figure out what movie I'm talking about yet? I hope so. Yes, you are correct. We are talking about Twister. So, if anybody mentions tornado movie, is this the first movie that comes to your mind? I know it is with me. And like I said, it's so often on TV and some of the streaming services and things like that. So it's just one of those movies that's just, when it's on, you just can't help but just stop and even if it's just background, you're so familiar with the story, you can still sit down at any point and enjoy it. At least I can. So going back and actually sitting there and reviewing this and going through and taking all the notes and stuff that I take, I'm like, okay, how have I not noticed some of this stuff before? Okay, I've always noticed the errors in this movie. Always. And even though there's a little bit of language in the movie, I'm going to kind of surprise everybody. I'm going with an innocent rating on Twisters just because I think it's one of those movies that can just kind of do that. Sorry, I've got a spot here on my finger and I don't have access to a band-aid real quick, so I'm just using some tape for the moment. Sorry about that. But so I am just going to kind of jump right into this. If you are not familiar with the Twister movie and you have interest in the new Twisters movie, be sure to come back tomorrow because that's the one we're talking about tomorrow. And my apologies, like I said, I'm not actually going to get the new reviews up this weekend because I'm out of town. But that's why I am doing some of these for you with that just ahead of time and just kind of getting them all set to go. Now, how many of you out there have ever heard of the Fujita scale? Well, the Fujita scale is a measurement of tornadoes. It has to do with their size and their wind speed. And their damage path is also as it's commonly known. But it's how tornadoes are measured. Now, you can have anything from an F0, which basically is it's bigger than a dust devil, but not big enough to really do any damage. And then you have the F5s, which there have only been a handful of documented F5s ever. And one of town that's about 20 minutes away from where I live, Hallam, Nebraska, it's believed by many people locally that it was an F5 that hit Hallam, but officially it was an F4. If you are curious what I'm talking about, feel free to Google Hallam, Hallam, Nebraska tornado, and you will see the devastation. I can still remember that night sitting at home, and I lived in a different town then, but I heard the local news come in with a breaking news, and the announcer was just like, Hallam's gone. Hallam it's just gone. And that's not me stuttering. That's literally how they were announcing it because it was just such disbelief. And amazingly, only one person, I mean, it's tragic still. No, don't get me wrong. That's still tragic, but only one person lost their life in that storm. And unfortunately, the same cannot be said for some other absolutely horrific tornadoes that have hit different parts of the country. And it's just, they're devastating. But I know this is going to sound weird. I will take a tornado over an earthquake any day because at least a tornado, you can see it coming. You have to get to shelter, but at least with the tornado, you can see it coming. So I know that sounds like a really weird logic, but yeah, I don't do earthquakes. So if you're in an area with earthquakes, I would love to hear what you think on that. So feel free to go on social media. Just make sure to hashtag Movie Deputy so I can find your post, or just message me directly. Either way works on that. But let's get back to the movie, because that's what you're really here to listen for. Anyways, in this one, a young girl is living with her parents just down in Oklahoma, and they are caught in this huge storm, and in the thing of her dad trying to keep them all safe, he basically he gets taken by the storm, and he doesn't survive. Don't worry, no spoilers. That's like in the first few minutes of the movie. But she has made it her life's mission. We see her then all grown up, but she's made it her life's mission to study tornadoes, to prevent that from happening to somebody else. Well, her and her partner kind of grew up doing, or not grew up, but got together doing this, and they became a couple and got married, and everything was seemingly happy, but we don't get to see the happy part of their relationship. We get to see the product of their relationship, which is their child of sorts. Their child is Dorothy, but it's not a person. Dorothy is a storm laboratory with these little things that you're supposed to put it in the path of a tornado and let these little sensors get sucked up into the tornado and give you tons of data. So they have built multiple forms of Dorothy. Or I should say at least one of them has, because there's one person that is now, one of the people is now in a new relationship and wanting the divorce papers signed. The other one is too busy with Dorothy to worry about the frivolities of all of that, or as she sees, or yeah, that kind of gave it away, sorry. Don't worry, no spoilers, still no spoilers. But so it kind of then becomes a thing of where he kind of gets sucked in, forgive the term sucked in. I mean, we're talking about tornadoes here. But so they end up kind of chasing again, and the new love of his life is a little bit overwhelmed by all of this stuff, to put it mildly. But so they do their best, and they're trying to get Dorothy out. Well, as you can imagine with something like Dorothy, they can't just create one. So they created Dorothy 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it took until they had Dorothy 4 to finally have something that was going to be with usable data. Now, is it a success? Not in the traditional sense that you might think. So don't worry, no spoilers there at all. But it's entertaining. We get to watch how they're chasing these, and we get to watch these tornadic encounters, and we get to watch all of these. I don't know how many times you've watched this movie, but even if you're not looking for the errors, you can't help but notice them. So this is the kind of story I would love to give a much higher score to. I really would, just because it's fun, it's entertaining, it's one of those ones you just want to watch over and over again. I've met people that this is their favorite movie of all time. For me, no. For me, if you don't already know, it's the original Ghostbusters. But this one, like I said, there's so many mistakes in it. It's just hard to stay focused on the story if that's what you're trying to do, because that's just what's there for you. But ultimately, in the end, they have some data, but the movie is not just about that. It's somewhat of a love story, and it's a drama, and there's this love triangle thing, and then, of course, there's Aunt Meg, and if you know the movie, you know who I'm talking about. If not, you need to go watch this and figure out who Aunt Meg is, because it's worth it. But it's the emotions with it, it's the story with it, and it's just everything. So if you've ever been fascinated by tornadoes and you've never even heard of this movie, I hope you check it out. If you love this movie and you just want to go back and refresh your memory on it, go do so. Especially if you're getting ready to watch the new one. If you've watched the new one and you just want to go back and reminisce about the old one, yeah, do that too. It's a lot of fun, and it's an experience. So you're probably wondering where I am score-wise on this one. Again, I have to stay true to the deputy scale, and, you know, even with all of the mistakes on this one, the entertaining value and just the fact that this literally sucks you in the literal sense, both emotionally, and you're invested in these characters. You become invested in every part of these stories. So I did end up giving the original 1996 Twister a 6.5 out of 10 on the deputy scale. Now, okay, just error-wise alone, it probably deserved low fives. I mean, there's a ton of errors in this one, but I think the story is just enough to help salvage it a little bit. Now, just pure story-wise, I probably would be upper sevens, but I just couldn't do that with all of the errors that are everything in this. So, like I said, 6.5 is where we ended up. If you like this review and others, and you always want to get the latest and greatest Deputy content, be sure to click those buttons. You know which ones to click, so you always get the notifications on the latest and greatest. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. What a lot of people don't realize is that though all the podcasts are available on all podcast platforms, on YouTube the same podcasts go live 2 hours sooner. So if you're one of those people that think, oh, I don't want to wait till 8 a.m. for these, I want to get them a couple hours sooner, I want to listen to these as I'm getting ready in the morning, you can get that over to our YouTube channel because they go live at 6 a.m., whereas on all the podcast platforms, they go live at 8 a.m. So be sure to get over there and check that out if that's something that you're interested in. And as always, I'll be back tomorrow with the sequel. Bye-bye.